Well, I grew up in the business. My dad started his company in 1930, and as a teenager, I would go into his office on my way home from school and stay there and work and help out for a few hours a day, and I'd be there any vacation days and all summer. So I was learning the business that way. After I graduated from college, it was during the Vietnam War, so I took a defense job working as an experimental test engineer for Pratt & Whitney aircraft, and I stayed there for a couple of years until the lottery came around and I had a high enough number that I could come back. I came back in January of 1971. Joined the company as a vice president and became president of the company in 1979. Company itself started off way back when repairing household appliances, then went into repairing household refrigerators, went into commercial refrigeration for stores, butcher shops, did walk-in refrigeration. My dad used to work with tools during the day, go home, have dinner, and change, and at night he'd go out and try to sell work. One of my favorite stories was that he came in one morning and he told the guys that we were going to do our first air conditioning job. And one of the guys said to him, "What do we know about air conditioning?" And he said, "Same thing, bigger room." So that's how they first got into air conditioning, probably sometime in the early 50s. He was, at one point, one of the 5 distributors for Carrier air conditioning in New York City. And then they consolidated and he lost the distributorship. Was a contractor, his specialty was funeral homes, did many funeral homes in Brooklyn and Queens. Then he started to do public works in the mid-50s, and his philosophy on that was that if the city doesn't have enough money to pay my bill, they'll raise the taxes, and then they'll have more money. So I'll always get paid. Started doing work for them. Did a lot of libraries. Probably did 20 or 30 libraries throughout the city of New York, and we kept growing and doing larger and larger jobs. My dad passed away in 1989. And we've been doing, we did for a long time, a lot of Department of Environmental Protection work, water pollution plants, big boiler plants, air distribution, and we did some large ventilation projects. We replaced the fans in the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel and the Queens Midtown Tunnel, changed the fans that were put in the late 40s with fans that were 316 stainless steel that had to be assembled in place. And if I remember correctly, the Battery Tunnel had 12 fans and the Queens Midtown Tunnel had 18 fans. So they were both big airside jobs. We do basically every end of the heating and air conditioning spectrum. We did the first 5,000-ton centrifugal chiller at Kennedy Airport back in the early 70s. We replaced I think there were 2,000-ton chillers at the United Nations. We've done work at Rikers Island. We did an 800-bed facility in Rikers Island. We do schools. We do, as I said, all phases of HVAC. Okay, I got involved with ASHRAE in 1972. I joined in 71. I got a call that asking if I would like to join the board in 1972, but I was told that I would have to attend meetings. I hadn't attended a meeting before then. And I understood and I agreed. And I probably have missed 10 meetings over all the years from 1972 till now. And that's because I've been on vacation or rarely ill, but mostly vacation. Well, ASHRAE's played a big part in my role of acquaintances and, even more importantly, friends in the industry. People like Richard, who I've known for 30 years, at least.
Maybe more.
Yeah, at least 30 years. And the associations we make with these people, they're in all the different areas of the HVAC business, and their expertise is, invaluable. So to get, help with problems, to sometimes with engineering firms to get put on their bid list, to be given the opportunity to bid work. A lot of that comes from the relationships that are established at ASHRAE. Our firm has always been a firm believer in ASHRAE. My dad was the president of the Air Conditioning Guild, which was one of the associations that was taken into ASHRAE in I think it was the late 50s. And so he was an active ASHRAE member. I'm an active ASHRAE member. My son is an active ASHRAE member. And we generally, at the monthly meetings, there are 4 people from our office that come to every meeting. And a lot of it is the meeting people and making friendships.
I got into the business, the first company I represent, I went out with the boss's sister-in-law. That's how I got into the business. I joined ASHRAE about 1958, I think, something around then. In starting about 1960 to 62, no, maybe later, maybe 1965, I became active on a society level. I got involved with the numerous technical committees at ASHRAE. During the years, I represented several different firms, and I made it my business to become an expert in the products that they manufactured and handled. And I got on the technical committees that were involved with those products. I was principal author of several chapters of the ASHRAE Guide and Data Book, Sound and Vibration. I was heating, piping, and heating and piping. I've been, I don't know how long I'm a member of New York Chapter, since about before I was married. Since about 1960, I was a member of New York Chapter. When I became active in the chapter back in those days, when you got on the board, you went through the different committees, right? They don't do it that way now.
They don't?
Well, it doesn't quite work that way. So I was on the board for 10 years, and then I became president. It's on a point basis. You get all kinds of things that count. The positions you hold in the chapter, the work you did on a society level, being on technical committees, it's on a point basis. So that gives you the distinguished service.
Do you have any written documentation from then still that we could look at or use to submit for this award?
What do you mean?
I just didn't know if
you do a biography, and in the biography, and it's a form that's that ASHRAE provides. And it shows, you have to fill in what positions you had in society, what positions you had in the chapter, what positions you had in region. And each one has a point value.
Person to receive that award, I think, was Don Ross, our Distinguished Service Award. It was usually given, it started out with major players in the Professional Engineering Society or contracting. So you got that award.
Yeah, I
Right.
got every award there is.
That award was given at our annual dinner dance.
Which they still do.
They still
That's
do,
the honoree
right.
now, Zal Schroeder last year.
Well, basically there were several different organizations that got together. It was refrigeration engineers, was it ASRE, American Refrigeration Engineers, and heating and ventilating engineers, ASHRAE, and they got together, and that's when ASHRAE was formed. And actually it was formed, but we were something strange. We're chapter 8, I think.
Right.
I don't know how that happened. What happened? Why New York chapter was the 8th chapter that got formed, and
Even though it's where
where
they started.
Even though this society started here.
Yeah, it says that the Illinois chapter was formed in Chicago in December 1906. And then, I guess, that was the first one.
And ASHRAE headquarters used to be in the United Engineering Building on the east side,
This is
right?
now the Trump Building.
Is it?
Yeah, the Trump Building across from the UN.
And then they moved to ASHRAE as a national ASHRAE.
They sold
Moved
it for a 50th of what it's worth today. And now they're selling Atlanta.
Are they?
Yeah, they're going to live out of a suitcase. I have no idea what they're doing.
They're moving out of Atlanta?
Yeah. Well, they're selling their building,
Oh,
but they have no plans to do anything to replace it at the moment.
well, they can rent where they are, stay. No.
I have no idea what they're doing.
That's right. The one thing I have to say, when we first got active in the chapter in ASHRAE,
When you're done.
back then, if you were in the HVAC business, then you joined ASHRAE, right? That's where you went to meet everybody.
Yeah.
All the engineers and contractors. That's where they mixed at the ASHRAE meeting. They weren't all too happy about it because the engineers felt all the contractors were beating up on them.
Diluting the
Yes.
the breed.
But it was your place. It was there's where you what's the word? You met people and got information. The chapter, our chapter was very big on education. We had not quite as much now. We had lecture series. The chapter had 2 lecture series and 2 all-day seminars every year,
Correct.
which would get a couple of hundred people, chapter members.
And
who were-
every dinner meeting would have a main speaker and a pre-dinner technical session that would go on, where they would have 20 people, maybe 30 people maximum, would listen to someone talking about a specific topic that actually couldn't be used on a dinner meeting. It was more of a proprietary type of talk, but it was interesting to mostly the younger people in the industry.
Yeah, at the dinner meetings, you're not supposed to be proprietary. A manufacturer couldn't come in or wasn't supposed to come in and just talk about their product.
They couldn't even show a slide that had their
They all cheated.
company name on it.
They all cheated down in the corner.
Yeah, but now that's evidently gone.
And for those meetings,
Were there a lot of mentor-mentee workshops as well? Did you find, or apprenticeships?
No, we would always try to find topics for mostly the lecture series that would be more basic, that would bring in the younger people that didn't have the experience.
What is,
and would learn, things that they would need to know.
what has happened over the years, though, is that the type of things we used to do in the pre-meeting seminars, the manufacturers now, they make presentations at an engineering firm. There weren't that many big engineering firms around. When we started, there were maybe 3 big engineering firms. There were a lot of small ones. So now, manufacturers carry a train, or anyone else in the manufacturing business, they run a seminar at each engineering firm where they get all the members of the firm engineers in and lecture them on their products. So it's the complexion of the business has changed a little bit from when we.
Yeah, we had a period. You're asking why there aren't a lot of middle-aged people. It was a period where people were just, I guess, struggling to survive, and they were working and not spending any time doing things like this. They just would, they'd go to work and go home probably late, and wouldn't think of coming to an ASHRAE meeting or becoming an ASHRAE member. So that went on for a number of years. Fortunately, that's turned around in, I guess, the last 10, and a lot of the younger engineers have been brought in, and you can tell by the turnout at the meetings. We went through years where we would have 50, 60 people at a meeting, and we consider that to be a pretty good meeting. Now you have 100 at every meeting. So, it's turned around. People are getting more involved, and it's good for ASHRAE, it's good for the industry, it's good for everyone.
Great. One other question, and then I'll let Greg, a YEA representative, ask the question as well, and then we'll break. If you had to guess, what percentage of the ASHRAE membership do you think consist of women, make up women, are made up of women?
Today,
I don't know.
15.
I have no clue.
Guess.
Well,
He said
he's
15.
guessing.
Guess.
There's many women work for the larger engineering firms,
But I'm saying
That's not what she asked.
members.
Oh, members, I don't know.
It's 8%.
8%? Not a big percentage.
I mean, if we came to this meeting 20 years ago, there might be one woman.
Yeah.
Really, things have changed. It's, it's gotten a lot better. I'm sure it will continue to improve, but, it's basically, it's networking. I mean, you have to network with the other women to, get them interested in coming to a meeting. That's really all you can do.
We'll ask you what.
Probably to get the engineering firms, because that's where the concentration of the young people are, to get them to push their employees to show up at these meetings, to show them what the advantage is, and get them. I mean, it's awfully hard to go out and get individuals, one at each firm, or you can go to the larger engineering firms and try to get a group of people to come.
I would say the majority of people at these meetings are not from the engineering firms.
Oh yeah, where do you think?
What?
Where?
Vendors and contractors, right? I
don't know about the women.
No, I'm not talking about women.
No, she's talking about women.
Only women you
No.
talking about?
We're talking about he's
Okay.
asking YEA, so
Yeah.
that's young engineers. My specific question was about women, just trying to attract them. But I'm also interested in.
The major engineering firms do not have many people attend our meetings.
Interesting.
Agree with that.
But
I agreed with that. You know, we're trying. You know, we try to reach out. There's a lot
Well-
of vendors.
Well,
In years back, sometimes we, for people on the board and stuff, try to get principals of firms to, get people to come to meetings, and we're suggesting, they have someone come to each meeting. I mean, it's an engineering society,
Right.
and
You'd think.
most of the people here are not in engineering.
Right. No, I agree. That's trying to. That's a big push that we're trying to do too, because we try to.
And as a society, ASHRAE doesn't do enough to get people to get actively involved on a society level. I mean, all the work that society does, it's all volunteer, and they don't. No one comes out and gives you pep talks. Hey, you ought to do this. I mean, that's how they get all this information out there. All the guide and data books of volunteer works, not written by they're written by professionals, but they're written
the
by
information,
members.
the information is from the membership.
Membership, and not too many engineers from our area here are involved on a society level that I know of.
Lot less than used to be.
Probably less than used to be. Yeah.
Right, I would say.
Do you think if,
I mean, if they come out, hopefully they'll see the benefit to it. But the problem is to get them out the first time. And I would say you have to push the engineering firms. They say that they're supporters of the chapter. Well, they have to be more than dollar supporters. They have to be supporters in getting their people to attend. And, that would help.
going back to an earlier question, though, I had mentioned about mentor and mentee, do you think, one is, would you participate? And two is, if we had such a thing, do you think that would then draw out the younger people?
Mentor in what way? If someone wants to learn about a specific area or something.
No, it could be just, look,
We-
like I'm struggling, we were just talking and you were giving advice, I was talking about my
They
experience
once
running a
tried,
company,
and
and you
it
were
never
providing
occurred,
advice.
on the board, they talked about that at a meeting, the board members, you should go out and introduce yourself to people, a top-down thing, which would help, many people don't want to do it. You see someone standing around not talking to anyone,
Well,
they...
I go over to them.
I notice people sit in certain groups, and so sometimes I try and pull people.
Break them up.
No, not break them up, mix them together.
Oh,
But I think it would be more valuable if people were to volunteer and enroll in some sort of thing. That's why I was just curious. If we were to do it, would you participate? And-
Years ago, one of the things we used to do, of course, the meetings weren't as big, that everyone would stand up and say their
Introduce
name,
themselves?
Introduce themselves, to get people...
Take a long time in this room.
Take a long time, but the number of
too
people...
long.
It's if we got 40 people at a meeting, we'd be happy, right? In years
Yeah.
back.
So,
The turnout here is much better.
How about another idea, if you think mentor-mentee would be too much of a commitment? How about asking, as people come in, asking our life members or our senior people if they wouldn't mind being matched up for that night, sitting next to either a YEA or someone new to the membership, and just sitting side by side just for the evening, so you can have a little bit of small chat, small talk.
If you get people involved...
that could work, except that I think most of them wouldn't care to do that. They'd rather stay with the group of people that they came with. A lot of them are, college students. They come as groups, mobs, and stay together very much. So, wouldn't be a problem. I mean, we generally come 3 or 4 of us from my office, and we stay together because we enjoy each other. We enjoy each other's company, and we talk about work, we talk about, the program, and, it works out for us. I am the de facto archivist, so if you ever want to go through old ASHRAE papers, I've got boxes and drawers full in my office. So, as a historian, you're welcome to come.